Brothers and sisters, misses and misters, welcome to the Christmas edition of the Dented Cast. La 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 la. You're not going to hear any more of that. My name is Dobie Maxwell. Ho ho ho. Joining me, my cohort on this Yuletide day, Max Bumgardner. And this is a big one, buddy. Christmas, it's such a difficult time for Dented Cans, even if you're Jewish or Muslim and you don't believe in it, because it's such a huge thing. There's so many strings attached. Where do we start?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, it's, again, like Thanksgiving, based in total BS. Mm-hmm. It really is. Yeah. So if you're Christian, it's the birth of Christ.
Allegedly.
Okay. Which really actually happened, based on historians, in September.
So, I heard it was April.
Okay. So
it doesn't matter. It wasn't December 25th.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the Sinterklaas, the German fat drunk that comes down a chimney and leaves presents.
Are you talking about my people, the Germans?
Well, it's that's a whole different thing. So again, we have these really tough levels or standards to achieve. So, because we had on Christmas Day, which is when this is being released, we'll have another episode tomorrow, by the way, that's not related to Christmas.
It's our Black Friday edition of the Dented Cast. We're 20% off coupons.
For me personally, I've kind of gotten rid of some of the old memories. For instance, my dad used to, in his apartment, I'm 8 years older than my brother. My dad used to have us over for Christmas Eve. Just long enough so he could get to a bar and get completely ripped out of his mind. But we'd be there. He'd maybe have a few gifts, which was nice. He'd make some chili. But we would stand there in the living room of his house, like in front of this tree that he would literally take out of a box from the basement and put it on the put it on the table, and then like the next day put it back in the box. That's it.
So it's up for one night, one day.
Well, yeah, just for that, just like Charlie Brown's Christmas, only a fake tree. So after a while, it had like one little ball, and the garland was like one string. That was it. So anyway, that was what our Christmas Eve was like. And my dad was an alcoholic, and we would stand there in front of that tree holding hands. And my brother was 8 years younger than me, and I could feel my brother like laughing because my dad's trying to be religious. And I look back on that now. My dad's gone. And I wish today, being Christmas, I could spend some time with my father. I really do. And I would maybe just go ahead and we'd laugh together, if nothing else. Instead of look backwards, we'd laugh together. Maybe I would get him a gift. I look back on Christmases with my family as a kid with fondness. I really do. Grandparents and cousins and stuff, that was good stuff, man. Same with Thanksgiving. For me, it was good as a child. When you would get with extended family. You didn't have that necessarily.
For me, Christmas is utter hell, mystery. It's a misery and torture, and you seem to blow it off. I want to take Rudolph and put him on the grill and barbecue his ass dead.
Well, you're from Wisconsin.
Yes, I do. And I mean that in a friendly and a customer service kind of a way, because every holly berry on a McDonald's bag, every Jingle Bell song on a commercial made me want to slit my wrist for decades. And there was no place to go. And I had my best friend, Timbo, the guy that robbed the bank. You could read about it in the book, that Monkey in the Middle. Timbo had a horrible childhood, too. So we bonded in that as teenagers. When we're coming of age and we're supposed to be having family memories, we had nowhere else to go. So we'd hang out with each other and go to a Chinese restaurant in the Milwaukee area where there were all these Jewish people on Christmas. That was just another day to them. And us and Chinese people who did not celebrate Christmas. So we were these two outsiders having a plate of chop suey, miserable. Absolutely miserable. And we didn't really talk about it. We didn't mention it. We tried to make the best out of it. And it wasn't until years later, just a few years ago, when I reconciled with my siblings, and I've had some really good Christmases and some wonderful times, and just to sit and talk and, God forbid, laugh, smile, exchange gifts that really came from the heart. It wasn't about the money, maybe even handmade type stuff. And I see now the allure and the appeal of it. But when you don't have that place to go, you can't escape it, man. I feel sorry for someone that is Jewish or Buddhist or Muslim or does not, because it's everywhere if you live in America. la 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 la. Shut up. Stop. I don't want to have, I'll start drinking. I'll take crystal meth, whatever I do to have to forget about it. So I think it is a deep, lifelong process to have to undo this pain and these bad memories and to reprogram. And I can't sit here and say, well, just do it. You can't. It's indefensible. I mean, we're talking about suicide. If you want to watch that episode, it's pretty deep. I did it on Christmas Eve. I was that low, man. I pulled the trigger. If that gun didn't go off, I would have had a third ear hole coming out of the side of my head. So it's deep, and we're not making fun of it. I think we need to grasp how serious it is. Please, if you're going to think about doing something bad, we got to put a suicide hotline number up.
We can do it.
Christmas is just a tough one. Don't care who
It is, but why is it? Why, again, I'm asking, why are you associating everything bad with Christmas? You do the same thing with Harleys, okay?
Yeah.
Harley, as somebody who likes to ride a motorcycle, is marketing because it vibrates and and it's loud and stuff, and some people like that, but there are far better motorcycles made. You're from Milwaukee, so I like Harleys. I'm not in a fight with them. I'm a motorcycle guy, and I can tell you that there's way better performing bikes out there than a Harley, okay? But you don't like Harley because your dad liked them.
My dad rode, and that sound, when I hear it to this day, I can't not think about that.
But it's the same thing in my mind. You're drawing a correlation between your pain and Christmas.
Yeah.
Even now.
It's getting better.
Okay.
The last few years have been a night and day better.
So why do you suppose that is? And you might not have the answer. Why do you suppose that is? Because this kind of gets to one of the comments that came a few episodes ago, a couple months ago now, where the guy said, hey, you're touching on stuff, but you're not going deep enough. And I don't want to be an inch deep and 12 miles wide.
Here's what you're getting on Christmas at windshield wipers. I'm kidding. You try to laugh it off, but I don't have an answer.
Okay.
I don't know. The senses that has been linked. And I think Christmas was intended to bring families together, to be a lifelong memory. So when Grandma and Grandpa are gone, remember the Christmases we spent together and smelling Grandma's cookies that she cooked and all the good memories it's supposed to be. But when it's not, it has the same effect of a lifelong, lingering memory that you can't shake.
Okay. All right. And I'm not quizzing you.
It's a stain on your shirt. You might be able to get it off, but never all the way off.
Yeah. I think if something traumatic happened on a Christmas, or Christmases in general for you during your formative years were always traumatic, then yeah, I get it. My standpoint, for me, I don't have bad memories about Christmas, especially with my own family, my own kids, because I would always shower them, probably too much. But, there was a couple of years where I would get them everything they wanted, everything. My wife would get pissed at me. She's like, that's insane. You can't do that. And I'm like, why? Why can't I? Mm-hmm. Why can't they just get up and come downstairs and go, holy cow, And I think probably the reason I did that is because I felt guilty about the times when I wasn't the best father, or I felt like I knew what it was like to have lack as a child. Because I remember getting, when we're old enough, we used to get Christmas catalogs in the mail. So I remember like Sears had one, JCPenney had one, and I would go through as a child, and I would circle stuff with a pen that I kind of wanted. I never got them, hardly ever.
It's fun to dream, though.
Fun to dream, right? And I wanted to be that for my kids, where they're like, it's just something it's just material. It doesn't really matter. And I think we get focused on the materialism. No one's focused on the birth of Christ aspect. Even some of the people that go to church, I'd kind of challenge them, because that's not the big deal for Christians. Easter's the big deal for Christians, Conquering death has a little bit more weight than being born
in a manger.
In a manger,
With three dudes. What's myrrh? I want to know what myrrh is. Frankincense is like Old Spice.
So, but I don't need a bunch of cards and letters on that comment. But that's how I feel. I think Christmas, again, just like we said in Thanksgiving, we're putting this standard together based on all the inputs. So all of the commercials and the music and the commercialism, that's what you're comparing yourself. You're saying, well, I didn't have that. I don't have a wife. I didn't have that as kids. I don't have anybody to share it with. And so that's why you feel like horrible about it and sad, because you're comparing it to what you're being presented with. That's my theory.
Can I
anyway.
share? I will share a couple stories quickly
Yeah.
about Christmas. I was probably maybe 8 or 9, and I was at my father's house, and my grandparents were down there too. It was they didn't spend a lot of time together, so to see both of them in the same place was very unusual. And my stepmother had a brother who was a severe alcoholic, and his girlfriend, wife, whatever, they got into it. He took out a knife, had the knife at her throat at the kitchen table. The bikers had to haul her off. The cops showed up. I remember looking at my grandma, my German, hard-hearted grandma, and that was her basically son's friends that are doing all this stuff. And the cops came, and it was just an ugly situation. And la, 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 it's going in the background, and the Christmas tree's there. And it just was a big, ugly, nasty mess. And that it was at the wrong age. That's when age 8, age 9 was it is supposed to be Santa real and all that stuff, and it just totally took that out. And a big deal about joining the biker club that my father was in, the aspirants were called ducks, like a fraternity. You know, it's a fraternity pledge. In the biker club, you're a duck, and the duck has to do anything the member says. So they would have to either rob a store or steal a purse or do whatever they did. So most of the Christmas presents from our childhood was bought from stolen credit cards that the ducks would get. And I remember getting a tape recorder, or a tape player. It's a cassette. That's how old I am. But it was a cassette player with a couple of cassettes in there, and it had a couple of scratches. I don't think it was new, but it was wrapped up. And I was whatever age I was. You didn't know at the time, but looking back on it, and the whole thing just was. It's like biting into a caramel apple and there's worms in there. It leaves memories, and you try to forget, try to build a bridge and get over it, like all the Hallmark cards say. But damn it, I can't do it. I can't.
That's why, because you're telling yourself you can't. What if you recreated what Christmas means? Because you love to help people and make people
I
feel
love
good.
it. I love it more than anything.
What if that's something that you started to do every year, and you completely turned the focus around, and it was like a tsunami of what you believe it should be?
Who the fuck
started
are you,
with
Dr. Phil?
Seriously.
No, and I'm serious too. You make a joke like that, but there's a part in my heart, like yogurt, that I just haven't been able to get the spoon in there to turn the fruit around. And I was afraid to be intimate enough to have a family of my own because I was afraid I was going to be my father. And when Christmas comes around, whatever anesthesia, it's all gone, and there's raw nerves there. And to have to deal with that, and I know some people self-medicate, and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but I never did that. I never went to drugs and alcohol, but if I did, today would be the day when I would be totally gone. And this late into the game, I don't know how to deal with it. I don't. And we don't claim to have all the answers. We're not medical professionals. We never claim that ever.
And I just like to ask questions, because I think when you ask yourself questions, that's the only way you're going to find out answers. I think when you close the door on anything, okay, just like Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can do a thing or not, you're right.
Well, he's dead too. So no. I mean, I don't know what else to do except try to be flippant and throw a funny line in there. But I'm a loss, man. In this cosmic plane, I missed this one.
Well, here's what I'd like to say as we close out. Are you ready to close out?
I'm ready to close out.
Okay, here's what I'd like to say as the positive. Number one, Christmas is all bullshit. It's all don't get so wrapped up in it. Like Dobie said, and he's 100% right. Everything in America is Christmas related leading up to Christmas, okay? But it's all marketing. It's all marketing. It's all marketing. That's it. That's it. If you are feeling down today, and someone says Merry Christmas and you want to put a stake through their heart, check that though. Check that feeling, and just know that it's just a day at the end of it's just a day. It's a commercial. It's a celebration of fourth quarter.
Here's one thing that I have learned to do over the years. When somebody comes up with that, Merry Christmas, to smile, the biggest fake smile you could say, and Merry Christmas to you, and pretend like you mean it, it really works.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
so we don't have the answers, but it is bullshit. It's one day of the year, but at least we're talking about it and attempting to make it better, and I don't see a better positive than that.